It's 12 o'clock. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Starr Midday News. And coming up in the bulletin, Haruna Idrisu heads for the Ministry of Education. Eric Opoku for the Agric Ministry, as President John Dramani Mahama announces 12 new ministerial nominees in his latest batch of nominations. We'll bring you the details shortly. Also in this bulletin, audit report of ECG's account uncovers massive under-declaration and misreporting of revenue collection, further heightening concerns about inefficiencies in the country's sole power distributors' books. And later, international relations expert Dr. Vladimir Intridanso urges stricter guidelines for issuance of diplomatic passports and service passports following government's recall of such passports issued by the former Akufo-Addo-led administration.
I'm not against the withdrawal of such passports from undeserved persons. My biggest worry about all this thing is this: if it is still in the hands of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, then those criteria for obtaining it must be set clearly and then digitalized.
We have details of these stories and many more coming up shortly. Stay tuned in. Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch. Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch. You're welcome once again to the Starr Midday News on Starr 103.5 FM, coming to you live from our studios at the Platinum Place in Accra. My name is Dedei Tettey, and we'll start off with the news that has been on the various headlines for just some few minutes now, and it has to do with the latest ministerial nominations by President John Dramani Mahama. In the latest list, Haruna Idrisu is headed for the Ministry of Education, whereas Eric Opoku is headed for the Ministry of Agric and Agribusiness. Among the list of 12 new nominees announced, they are joined in the studio by Adam Kojo. He is with our research desk with the details of that statement issued by the presidency. Adam, let's go through the full list.
Okay, so we are getting closer. From 60, there was the first 3, another 10, and now we have 12.
So 25 in all.
So 25 in all. After I announced this list, there are just 35 slots
more to
available
go
for the president's 60. Now, there are 3 regional ministers that have been added to the 10 that we saw about a day or two ago, and 9 ministers of states. So I'll begin with the regional ministers.
Okay.
Now, the regional ministers, the Western North has Wilbert Petty Brintum as its minister nominee.
That's for the Western North region.
For the Western North region.
Okay.
For the Western region, we have Eduamwa Ekopinyin Otre. And then for the Western region, we have Joseph Nelson.
Okay.
So these are the 3 regional ministers that add up to the 10 existing.
To make it 13. So we have 3 more to go.
3 more to go. Okay. So that is where we have. Now, the ministers of states, and that is where most people are very much interested in.
Okay.
The Ministry of Roads and Highways, the current majority whip, that is Kwame Gavins Abuja, MP for Adaklu. is heading to the Ministry of Roads and Highways.
Okay, that's not entirely surprising. At a point, he was a spokesperson when it comes to roads and infrastructure.
Exactly. Eric Opoku, who has been very vocal on
cocoa affairs.
And in fact, on this show, we did likely names where his name came up as one for Agric, has been confirmed as the Minister for Food and Agriculture.
Okay, as a nominee.
As the nominee, sorry, yes. Now, the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection, remember, was one ministry that had come under a lot of critique at the just ended Nana Akufo-Addo administration. What we have is that the MP for Krowo, Agnes Na Momulate, is the nominee for that ministry.
Okay.
Abla Jifa Gumashi from Ketu South, MP, is returning to the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts. Emilia Arta is heading to the Ministry of Fisheries, and Aquaculture.
Okay.
George Opari Ado, who happens to be the current national youth organizer of the NDC, gets to head the newly created Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment. Haruna Idrisu, Tamale North.
Tamale South.
Tamale South, not Iswini. So Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu heads to the Education Ministry.
That has come as a surprise to many. Because in the past he has done trade, he's done communication.
He's done communication, he's done employment.
Okay.
Yes, and labor relations. And so the education is a very
big surprise.
Big surprise, especially when the immediate past happened to be an educationist, and one would have thought it would be an educationist that would be made to head that. So that's another surprise. Now, Ibrahim,
the first time for the previous administration, it was
a doctor. Now, Ahmed Ibrahim, who is the MP for Banda, heads to the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. And finally, Techiman South MP, Elizabeth Ofosu.
No, she's not Techiman South.
Sorry, Techiman North. The North and South, pardon me. North is Kosa. So Techiman North MP, Elizabeth Ofosu Ejari, heads to the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry.
Interesting. Where will cocoa fall? Will it fall under agriculture? Or it will fall under agriculture?
So cocoa will fall under agriculture.
Okay, all right. So there's a brief profile of all the nominees. We'll go through them briefly. Let me start off with Agnes Namumulati, who is headed for the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. It's here. She is a seasoned legislator and development expert with over 20 years of experience managing projects in governance, health, education, and women's rights. As member of Parliament for Krowo constituency, she serves as a key. She serves on key parliamentary committees, shaping national policy and advancing gender and community-focused initiatives. With a PhD in African Studies, Dr. Lati has held leadership roles such as General Secretary of the National Association of Local Authorities of Ghana, NALAG, and Executive Director of the Global Initiative on Rights and Development, GERD, demonstrating expertise in leadership, advocacy, and grassroots empowerment.
Yeah.
And then we have Emilia Arthur. Miss Emilia Arthur, she is which ministry is she headed for?
So she's headed for the fisheries and aquaculture.
Okay, so like for fisheries was
Mavis Howard.
Okay, so like for like. Then, so for her, she's a development specialist with expertise in local governance and natural resource management and gender inclusion. A former presidential staffer, deputy regional minister, and district chief executive, she has led policy alignment, capacity building, and participatory planning initiatives. As a consultant, she has worked with organizations such as USAID and IUCN, designing advocacy strategies and facilitating leadership training across Africa with academic credentials from Yale University and GIMPA. Madam Arthur integrates strategic planning with inclusive development to drive sustainable change. Now, you take us through Mr. Eduamwa Eko Penying Ochre.
So he's an educationist and a management expert with over 20 years of leadership experience in education, governance, and general administration. He's a two-term member of parliament for the Gumwa East constituency. He spearheaded developmental initiatives in the area. He's currently the executive director of the Center for Artisan and Apprentice Development, where he has designed and implemented training programs that have empowered over 5,000 artisans and apprentices. Okay. Now he holds an MBA in general management, a Bachelor of Laws, and a diploma in management Studies from the University of Cape Coast.
Okay.
Now, next is George Opare Ado, Esquire. He's a lawyer, local government official, business executive, and accomplished party organizer. His political activism and organizational skills earned him the position of National Youth Organizer of the NDC, a role he has held since 2018. During this time, he has mentored several young men and women who now hold key positions within the NDC. He is also a former MCE for the Equiapim North Municipal Assembly.
Okay.
We have Ahmed Ibrahim.
Okay, on that note, let me introduce our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Ibrahim Alassan. And some of these individuals he's very familiar with because he goes to Parliament on a day-to-day basis. Ahmed Ibrahim, he penned for the Ministry of Local Government.
Yes.
He's a Ghanaian politician. Can you take us through his profile? Or like I can take you through that so that so he is a Ghanaian politician and public servant. He holds an MBA in finance from GIMPA and a BA in political science and philosophy from the University of Ghana. Since 2009, he has served as a member of parliament representing Tyne and later Banda constituencies and has held leadership roles such as Deputy Majority and Minority Whip, a former CEO of Flamingo Publications, Ghana. Ahmed has participated in international workshops on parliamentary governance and telecommunication. No surprises that he's going there?
It's a well-kept secret.
Okay.
And of course, I can tell you that local government had been given to him.
Okay.
And it was never a secret. In fact, the surprise would have been that he heads to a different portfolio than this.
Okay.
We talk about Flamingo. I'm sure you read his books in school, social studies. Yes. Little did many people know that was him. Yes,
that's Ahmed Ibrahim.
Yes, that's Ahmed Ibrahim. Yes, so West kept secret.
Okay.
Just that his portfolio is now bigger because chieftaincy and religious affairs has been added to local government.
Yeah.
There were many who thought that portfolio could have gone to rather culture and creative art altogether. But of course, the realignment meant that the two ministries have been merged. So Ahmed Ibrahim, not surprised.
Not surprising. Okay. Let's skip to Harun Idrisu. We'll come to Gavin Sagboja in a bit. Now, Harun Idrisu, he is penned for the Ministry of Education. Many people have expressed surprise. Let me quickly go through his profile, and then we can touch on that briefly with your experience in Parliament. So he is a politician, a lawyer, a business magnate, and leader with extensive experience in Ghana's Parliament. He has held roles ranging from deputy ranking member to majority and minority leader in various parliaments under the Fourth Republic. Now, he has also served as a Minister for Employment and Labor Relations and Minister for Communications. Honorable Idrisu has a bachelor's degree in sociology from the University of Ghana and also a barrister at law and member of the Ghana Bar Association since 2002. Why do you think people will be surprised that he's headed for Education Ministry?
Because he had been tipped to go to the Defense Ministry, either defense or roads.
Interesting.
In fact, initially three: energy, defense, or roads. Education never featured. And then, of course, now this list comes out and is headed
for the Education Ministry.
It's surprising because there are a number of three portfolios that have been given to the Vice President, Professor Nana Jim Bukajima. Education is one of them, health is another, and then gender, children
is one of them.
Is another. And so for Harun Idrisu, that means that he has served as Communications Minister, he has served as Minister for Labor, Employment, and
then Minister for Communications
as well. And then here, he's headed to the Education Ministry. That is new. He's a legal brain. He has vast experience in legislature. But unless the issues relative to our educational sector have got to do with administrative and management, rather than in-depth knowledge about the sector or being a sector player, I won't tell you that Harun Idrisu is a player in the educational sector. I won't say that.
Is it also, could it also, point to needing a steady hand, looking at the challenges in the Education Ministry, especially with the free SHS and the talk about the need to, find means of financing the policy and, finding dedicated source of funding for the ministry, infrastructure challenges, among others. Is it the case that perhaps they need a steady hand for that ministry, raising his selection?
Now, I cannot agree with you more because there are about three portfolios that if President Muhammad doesn't take care, they will be his undoing. Energy, education, agriculture. The challenges with the cocoa sector is enough to swallow every government. Same with the energy. And then education. And the education sector, in fact, is one of the sectors that consume a chunk of our budgetary allocation. There's free SHS to deal with. And so if we are looking at President Mohammed's appointment as unconventional, the poster boy will be Haruna
Idrisu. Okay, so let's now go back to Kwame Gavin Tagboja. He is headed for the Ministry of Road and Road and Highways, correct?
Yeah.
It's not surprising because he was a spokesperson for roads and infrastructure at a certain point.
We knew from the word go that, in fact, the only challenge that came to his bid to go to that particular ministry is when we gathered that Haruna Idrisu had equally expressed interest in there. But of course, if you talk about roads and transport, he's an engineer, so to speak. He's a professional in the sector.
Okay.
He's an architect, yes, as I mentioned. And he's been a player in the sector. So it doesn't come as a surprise at all that he's headed there. I'm sure subsequently we'll get to talk about the shake-up that will have to happen on the side of the majority in Parliament. Because of the
positions,
yes, with the exception of Imanama Kofi-Boa, the other leaders have been dissipated.
I mean, the list is long. We'll have to cherry-pick some of them.
Yeah.
Let's talk about... quickly, we can do Eric Opoku.
Okay.
We'll come to Gomashi. Let's do Eric Opoku because of the cocoa issues.
Yes.
So
Eric is a seasoned politician with expertise in law, agriculture, and leadership, with over 12 years of parliamentary experience. He has risen from the backbenches to become the ranking member on the Food, Agriculture, and Cocoa Affairs Committee. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Law from KUST and an LLM in International Business Law from the University of Essex, UK. He has also earned certification in international legislative drafting and fisheries management from the United States. With the fisheries management, one would have thought
that would have gone to the fisheries ministry.
Yes, but as IB said, there are 3 people that one would say is no secret. He will be one. Gavins Abuja will be one, and then Ahmed Ibrahim will also be one.
Should that also mean that Kwame Minta Kando is one? Because of the health ministry?
No.
Okay.
And how vocal he was on that sector.
So here's the thing, with the players at the committee level being elevated, yes, it's stuck to a script, but trust John Mahama to depart when he has to. If there's anybody John Mahama has publicly promised appointment, there are 2 of them. Jati Kwesin, he publicly said that, and then Kwame Minta Kando, when he visited Jaboso's constituency, as whether he will be a deputy minister, he will be a substantive minister. He served as a deputy minister before.
Right.
We are waiting.
Let's quickly go to Jifa Gomashi. Jifa Gomashi, it is interesting because there had been a lot of lobbying. People were, making a case for their candidates, among others, and I saw that at a certain point, the argument was whether or not Rex Soma would be the sector minister. And then I saw someone, highlight the argument and talk about how everybody seems to have forgotten about Jifa Gomashi. How she was equally in that position. The person also mentioned Elizabeth of Osojare, who once occupied those positions as well, and that, looking at the dynamics and the quest to have more women involved, most likely Jifa Gomashi would have been or could have been the president's pick.
Her appointment has left many disappointed. Many. Yes, there are many names that came up, and when I say many disappointed, I don't mean party people or Ghanaians in general. I'm talking about people who have interest in occupying that same slot. Okay. You mentioned some of them as well. Let's see who becomes head deputy. If Mahama decides to appoint a deputy, he won't appoint deputy to all the portfolios. Yes. But for some, he will have to. Let's see who becomes the deputy.
Well, beyond the deputy position, I think that these sectors or ministries have, sub bodies and stuff that people can head those institutions, correct?
Yes, exactly. But for me, apart from Haruna's surprise, my other biggest surprise is Elizabeth Ofusojare
heading for trades and agribusiness.
Trades and agribusiness, and especially, Elizabeth was actually one time substantive tourism and culture and arts minister with Jifa as deputy.
Yes.
So for her deputy to have been elevated, and she moves to an entirely new area where...
Let's quickly go to her expertise. Let's see.
So she's a lawyer, international relations expert, business executive, and politician with 2 decades of experience in legal practice and advocacy. She has served at the strategic level of several boards, driving performance in multi-million-dollar companies. As Minister for Tourism, Culture, and Creative Arts, she led initiatives to promote Ghana as a prime tourism destination and fostered collaborations with the creative art industries. So considering, and I say this, especially when John Dramani Mahama had touted his need to make agric very profitable, I was thinking by setting the agribusiness under the trade, he was probably going to look out for somebody with expertise in international business. probably branding, among others. So
well,
that's a very
if that's the case, I mean, perhaps this driving performance in multi-million-dollar companies may play a role in there, perhaps.
She's also a legal practitioner,
perhaps.
as well.
Yes.
And so, don't forget the other considerations: regional balance, gender balance, and then also balancing it out with MPs who are supposed to serve in the ministerial portfolios.
Majority of them. Well, I think
so. We have how many women out of the 3? Out of the 12 is 3. Abla Jifa Gomashi. Oh no, I think it's 4. Jifa Gomashi, Elizabeth Ejai, and then there's Nana Momo, and then Madam Arthur. Correct?
Yes.
So 4 out of the 12.
So 4 out of the 12. So the president is so that's
so 1/3.
1/3.
Okay, so Wilbert Tettey, Bentum is a man.
It's a man.
Is a man. Wilbert is a man's
Mr.
name.
Petty.
Yes.
Okay.
Not Betty.
It's Petty.
Yeah. So and I
there are people called Petty, please. In fact, Nicki Minaj's husband is called, the surname is Petty, so she's Mrs. Petty.
Okay.
I mean, this is just a side.
No, I get that.
Let's quickly touch base with those in the regions.
Then after that, I'll come through with the names that are missing us yet.
Okay.
Okay. So we've done with the with the regions. As
yes, let's do the regions.
So the regions we had touched on. Wilbert Petty Bentum, a politician, chartered accountant, local government professional, and mining expert with decades of experience. He has held technical, managerial, and regulatory roles in the mining industry and has also served as assembly member in the Duaboso electoral area of the Duaboso district. Now, that's a very interesting one because it creates.
That's a
regional minister, so it will have to come from the region.
Yes, but it doesn't negate.
But there are 9
accounts.
There are 9
chances.
There are 9 constituencies in that region. If a sector minister comes from one constituency, a regional minister equally comes from that constituency. Then within the region,
there will be a deputy minister from that constituency.
In case you're just tuning in, you're still listening to the Star Midday News on Star 103.5 FM. For the past 22 minutes, we have been talking about the latest nominations as released by the president. 12 more nominations have been announced here. We have 9 sectorial ministers and then 3 additional regional ministers. And we just did that of the central region. Let's go through that of Western North and then the Western region.
No, so Wilbert is from the Western North region.
Okay. So we are left with Central and Western.
Yes,
Central is Eduamwa, Echo, Paying, Ochre.
Yes, so Eduamwa, Ochre, as we said, we actually read his profile earlier, where he has served as a 2-term member of parliament for the Goma East constituency, among others. Well, at some point in time, he was actually acting regional chairman of the NDC in the region. So so the last person left is should be Joseph Nelson of the Western region, where he's a public servant, finance and economic management expert with extensive experience in business management across Ghana and the UK. He holds a Bachelor of Arts in Economics and Management Science from the University of Northampton, UK, MSc International Finance and Economic Policy from the University of Glasgow, UK, and an MSc in Microfinance from the University of Cape Coast. He previously served as the Regional Director of the Youth Employment Agency. So it's been a mix of experience, unknown names, known political fears, and I'm sure the age and then the gender balance.
It's a mix. You can see it's a mix of experience and first timers, fresh blood and experience. Ultimately, they say the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating, correct?
Yes.
So it is after they have been, when they sail through their vetting and they get to work, we'll be able to assess whether indeed they were a perfect fit for their various positions or otherwise. What are the names that are missing?
Okay, so Samuel Okunita Blakwa is here to hear his name.
Let's think about some of the ministries that are left. So some of the ministries that are left, Adam, kindly quickly dig out the realigned ministries. Let's see which is left out.
So foreign affairs is outstanding. So
defense is outstanding.
Defense is outstanding. Interior is outstanding.
Transport.
Transport is outstanding.
Where is Where's Chieftain has been?
Chieftaincy is under local government.
Okay.
So that one is gone, right?
Yeah.
So basically that's it. And then we have deputy ministerial portfolio.
No, we have a number because the last time was 3 substantive ministers.
Yes.
And now we have 9.
So that will be
12. So we have about 11 more.
Yes, because the ministries are 23.
There's communication.
There's communication
That is equally
yes,
out there.
As well. And there are many others. So
there are 11.
yes, there are 11.
Lands and natural resources have also not been taken.
So the names, let me give you the names.
Yes.
So Al-Hassan Sumini is outstanding. Murtala Mohammed is outstanding. Samuel Okututa Blakwa.
Murtala in the past was trade.
Yeah.
Deputy trade.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Good.
Kofi Bua.
Imanama Kofi Bua
It's outstanding.
is former energy minister. Is
It's
outstanding.
outstanding.
Dr. Kamala Donko is outstanding. Tettey is outstanding.
Well,
Dr.
you know,
Clement Apaki. No, you don't say because finance is gone, you shut the door on anybody.
no, well,
Midday is outstanding.
Compliment Takano is outstanding. Sam George is outstanding.
Yes.
interesting. A lot of
Yeah.
people are looking
Kofi is
for.
outstanding.
Peter Bobo Tokuno is outstanding.
So for instance, I mean,
Isaac Adongo is outstanding.
Peter Boamo Tokuno is an
Isaac Adogo, we are here.
so Peter Boamo Tokuno. He has done a lot of work in agriculture
yes.
and agribusiness. So it will be interesting if you know he'll have a role to play
in either
in the
ministry or under the. But you see, because there's
Or
an
the
overall
agribusiness.
trade. You see, the agribusiness has been placed under the trade ministry, and as I was saying, I'm a bit surprised there. So maybe the deputy might be someone who has maybe some experience in international business and trade.
It's interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting. Very, very
Well,
interesting.
I mean, at this point, nobody envies the president
Yeah, not at all.
because the list is wide, and you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
And from what we understand, the president now stays away from his phone as far as he can.
Yeah.
So-
Well,
So as we speak, so let's make it clear. There are 35
Remaining
slots
slots, yes.
Out of the 35 slots, there are 11 ministers of state outstanding.
Yes.
There are 3 regional ministers outstanding, making and then there are 21 deputy ministers. So those who probably were, so to say, were feeling that they deserve, they probably will go back to the drawing board and say.
no. So you see, I think that it's 23 ministries and all, right?
Yes.
If we were to have deputies, it would be what?
So if we were to have one
It would be
deputy,
46,
So
right?
That would have been 60.
Yeah, so that would have been 62. So from the looks of
No.
With the regional ministers.
Relax. 23
yeah.
Yes.
substantive ministries.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Take out the regions.
Yes.
The regions are how many? 16, correct?
16. Yes.
So if it is 23 ministries and they have deputies for each, that's 46.
yes.
46.
Remaining 16.
No,
Exactly.
remaining 14.
Remaining
If
14.
you
so
sure?
that's what we're saying.
So
Yeah.
some ministries will,
62.
some ministries will go without.
Yeah, so a ministry like maybe
The youth
the
place
youth
does not-
development
yeah.
might not have
Exactly.
and some others because
Yeah.
it is possible. Say finance ministry might need 2 deputies.
Yeah, so some of the ministries
So
will
some
not
of
be
the
without.
ministers
But
of
for the
states.
regions, I suspect there
it's-
will
it's-
not be
even
deputies.
No, I mean regions will not be
No,
deputies.
even in the previous government, that's the just ended administration. When the
Yeah.
president was cutting down his ministers from 120 to about 80,
Yeah.
the first place he touched
Was to remove the deputy ministers.
for the regions.
Well,
Yes, but of
Let's
course,
see.
like I said, finally, we have to go to Parliament because people have been moved, and
Yes.
then, of course,
the leadership in Parliament,
The
yes,
leadership in
Banda,
Parliament for
the
the-
Banda MP as well as the
the finance minister designate the
Akinfosin has left. Now,
Abuja.
majority chief whip has
Yes,
left.
yes,
Shamus Kwame Abuja.
Yeah.
Yes, so there is the need for realignment as well.
Realignment, yes.
And so 2 names have come up, and I've seen people emphatically confirm that Mahama Ayariga will be majority leader. In Parliament, before we left, 2 names had come up. That's Mutaka Mubarak, Member of Parliament for Asamase, and then also the Baku Central MP. There are pros and cons. Argument being advanced for both of them.
yeah, because if Mahama Ayariga is made the substantive as a majority,
Yeah.
I don't think Muntaka will take a deputy.
Oh, no,
because
no,
he's
it's not negotiable. No, that will not
because
happen.
Yeah.
at the moment
Yeah,
he's the most experienced.
He's the most
correct?
experienced. No,
Yes.
He's the most
He's
experienced.
the most
At the
experienced.
moment, yes.
At the moment, he's the most experienced, right? And now, if you put that out of the way, and that will be majority leader, you come to the deputy majority leader. A number of names have come up, one from the central region, one from the eastern region. Ebenezer Telabi from the eastern region, because the party believes that the eastern region must have a representation in that regard.
Okay.
As to whether that will not be negated by other appointments that have been made, or Pariado, for instance, is from the region, then, of course, Ebenezer Telabi's name comes up. And again, the eastern regional minister is from the Krubu enclave as
Yes.
well.
The Awate lady, yes.
Yes.
And then you go to the central region, former deputy finance minister, former deputy trade minister, and that is Ricky again.
Cape Coast
Cape Coast South MP. His name has also come up as a deputy majority leader.
Okay.
But then whip, the majority chief whip, looks like Roxy Nelson Dafemepo will take that one.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Like for like?
Yes.
Who is the whip at the moment? Is that Abuja, right?
Yes, Abuja.
Okay.
And then
from the
Mutaka to Abuja to Dafemepo.
Like. Because Mutaka will obviously not return to that portfolio that was taken from him.
What if we are surprised with an executive position for Muntaka?
Okay, that would be surprising. Even to me, that would be surprising. But Muntaka has always come across as somebody who wants to stay in parliament and then progress.
I mean, as the education minister comes as a surprise.
Oh no, I get that.
It may surprise us.
You see, make room for surprises.
That's true.
But like you said, how many portfolios are left? 11 portfolios.
For the realigned ministries.
Exactly. So let's see.
Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes, right? So, but that's basically how the front bench of Badoyo so far says she's not returning to parliament.
She's not returning to
the 10th parliament.
Okay, and she also said to us personally that she's not interested in
any ministerial portfolio.
So
okay,
she might
then keep maintaining her role, or probably be elevated to a first deputy whip, majority whip. And so, but she served as a minister before. Yes, she served as a minister before, so this will not be her first.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen. This is the extended version of the Starr Midday News. We'll have to bring you some few more news items like that of the Electricity Company of Ghana. The audit reports coming from PwC about the company's revenue. And then we'll also briefly touch on issues relating to the diplomatic passport. You're still listening to the Starr Midday News on Starr 103.5 FM. Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Zeps 95.9 FM in Zebila, Nissim 100.1 FM in Lamshao, My Star Radio in the USA, also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM, Starr News. Informed, in depth, in touch. Expect a lot of reactions to come on the back of the latest ministerial nominations. 12. So far we are 25. The president has 35 more to go in terms of the number he promised in terms of ministries. Well, let's talk about the Electricity Company of Ghana now. You're still listening to the Starr Midday News. Is the extended version of it. We spent the first 30 minutes talking about the latest ministerial nominations by President John Dramani Mahama. Now to issues relating to the Electricity Company of Ghana. Well, an audit report on the power distributors' revenue collection accounts has revealed instances of under-declaration of revenue and misreporting. The audit sanctioned by the Ministry of Energy and carried out by PwC on the last quarter of 2023 showed that ECG failed to declare over 1 billion cedis of monies present in its bank statements to the PRC and players in the energy space. Now, the rippling effect of these under-declarations was a corresponding underpayments to independent power producers. Starr News' Adam Kojo, he was with me earlier. He is with our research desk. He has a copy of the reports from PwC highlighting the key findings of the audit. Adam, take us through some of the key points.
Okay, so ECG sells power, takes money and shares it to the people it buys the power from, which are the IPPs, through the mechanism called the cash waterfall mechanism. Now, according to the PwC report, PwC report, it says that there was a total under declaration on what was captured on the cash forward water mechanism and its cash settlement platform report. So the platform, internal platform it had, of 567 million Ghana cedi. Okay. So the amount it declared to the IPPs was less by this amount when it's compared to its settlement platform.
Okay.
It has another platform which is known as the monthly revenue collection sheet.
Okay.
When it came to that sheet, when you do the reconciliation, it under declared by 604 million Ghana cedi. But when you pick its bank statements, which shows the inflows of cash within that period, it under declared by some 1.14 billion Ghana cedi between October and December 2023. So those are the first parts of it. Now, as you rightly said, by virtue of under declaring in the IPPs, it means you actually underpay them. However, when you even go further, the amount ECG per their under declared figures were supposed to pay the IPPs was also underpaid. So assuming you were supposed to tell somebody you owe him 10 cedi, you told the person you have raised only 8 Ghana cedi. The 8 Ghana cedi you were supposed to also pay the person, you underpaid that amount.
So you instead of the 8 Ghana cedi, you pay them 5
you pay
or
them
6.
5. Yes. So when it got to the cash for waterfall mechanism, the ECG also equally underpaid by 600 million cedis. So those are some rather key findings. There's also another findings where the ECG's metered prepaid system. It has 3 systems. It has one system that is called the Alora. Let me confirm the name. The Adora system. And what the PURC equally found was that at the time they had finished the audit, the Adora system recorded bills of 2.81 billion, but the sales report showed that they had issued bills of 3.29 billion, showing a disparity of nearly 480 million Ghana cedi. So these are some rather interesting findings from the ECG's report, which shows that it has actually underdeclared and misreported figures.
Some of its reports.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that is certainly something that I'm sure the 12-member committee set up to look at our energy issues, and the incoming Minister of Energy would have to take into consideration with regard to fixing challenges with the energy sector. It's still the Starr Midday News on Starr 103.5 FM. Let's talk about service passports and diplomatic passports as well. Well, the Dean and Director of Academic Affairs at the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso, is calling for stricter guidelines for the issuance of diplomatic and service passports. Now, this is following government's recall of all diplomatic and service passports issued by the erstwhile Akufo-Addo-led government. According to government, the directive is to ensure proper use of such documents. A statement signed by Secretary to the President, Dr. Callistus Mahama, directed the Foreign Affairs Ministry to ensure compliance latest 24th of January this month, to be specific. Now, speaking to me on the Morning Star, Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso described the move as appropriate.
While others hold diplomatic passport by virtue of working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, others hold service passport because of the services they render to the nation. And these persons must hold themselves very high up. If we abuse it and give it to everybody and anybody else, they can be used for any clandestine activities that will injure the relationship between us and other countries where we visit. And so it must be held very, very dearly and clearly. So I'm not against the withdrawal of such passport from undeserved persons. My biggest worry about all this thing is this. Of course, it is the ministry which issues those passports. If you leave it in the hands of the ministry, I would say we are not going to get it abused again. It's only we are changing the faces of persons whom we have given these to.
The holders
have the criteria properly, and then we know you qualify, you don't qualify. I tell you, because I also traveled in the past, I traveled a lot, and still I'm traveling. Friends were advising, why don't you go for a service passport? And I looked at it and I said, what do I need a service passport for? My ordinary passport takes me everywhere for the past how many years that I've been traveling. So, some people, when they travel a lot, just believe that service passport will enable them go through protocols and that sort of thing quickly. So, well, for me, I'm not against the withdrawal, honestly speaking. There are some undeserving persons holding diplomatic passports and holding service passports, even including foreigners. There was a time in Ghana we heard about foreigners holding Ghanaian service passports and or diplomatic passports. So for me, the withdrawal is in order.
Well, Dr. Vladimir Nchidanso is also calling for stricter guidelines to prevent easy access to such passports.
If it is still in the hands of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, then those criteria for obtaining it must be set clearly and then digitalized. So when you apply and you don't try, it could be put under the office of the president, because he's the chief diplomat of the country, and he put at the office of the president with the national security advisor perhaps in charge, with implications too. I would have put it there under the presidency, where it is digitalized, and then there is very little kind of human intervention in that. And that as a security advisor, he will be able to oversee persons who would not qualify in that kind of thing. Alternatively, it is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Once the criteria are set and people apply through the digital process, they may qualify or not qualify, and the computer will just take them out automatically and that kind of.
Are there any group that you think that perhaps they can do without the service or diplomatic passport?
There are several such persons who can do without a diplomatic passport. Chiefs, white chiefs, eminent chiefs who may be doing some diplomatic services for the country. Such persons, if you accord them a diplomatic passport, I wouldn't mind. But when you say chiefs and that every chief gets a diplomatic passport, I wouldn't subscribe to that. They said, businessmen and that kind of thing. It depends on what kind of business. If the business is such that an international business that the government has a hand in it, then we will say that we could have them. That's what I'm saying, that let either Parliament or whoever is in charge try and set up the criteria. Because look, holding a diplomatic passport is a very serious thing. You can't just hold a passport and not behave like a diplomat.
You heard there Dr. Vladimir Chidan. So he is a Dean and Director of Academic Affairs at the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College. Let's now bring you the very latest in the world of sports. And Jones Aji is here. Good afternoon to you, Jones. What's in sports?
All right, so we start off from the Black Queens, because media officer of Ghana's Black Queens, Matilda Jifa, has revealed that the GFA gave former coach Nora Hoptel an improved contract, but she declined. Madam Jifa was speaking on the game on GH1 TV.
The FA and Nora couldn't come into an agreement. We knew that her contract was going to be ending on the 31st of December, and so 6 months to even for the contract to elapse, the GFA started having talks with her. We gave her a very improved contract so that we can continue our marriage, but at the end of the day, she decided to look the other way.
Still on the GFA, Ghanaian player Daniel Sosa, who now plays for the Nigerian national team, has in an exclusive interview with EIB Sports revealed that an official from the GFA requested for some money before he could be considered to play for Ghana's under-23 team.
No, because they were requesting for something that we couldn't do, like a financial. You have to give something before we can, allow to, like the invite, So we give something, they can speak with the coach so that they invite you, but.
Is that the norm?
No, they didn't say anything but they just said we have to get something. That's what they said.
And do you remember the particular person that your agent spoke to from the GFA? If you can tell us.
No, actually I cannot say.
Why?
No. It's something that I can't do that. No.
And do you remember the exact amount they were demanding for, the person was demanding for?
Actually, they didn't mention the amount. The person didn't mention the amount, though. But, he said, you have to give something before, we can invite you for the national under-23. It's always like that, It's not only me, but there are something.
All right, let's move to Joseph Pinso, Ghanaian attacker and LA Galaxy winger, who says he wants to become a prophet at the end of his career. And that is an interesting one, because tomorrow we'll be telling his story, his music story, football and then ministry. Let's just get to listen to this.
I just want to be a prophet, or maybe when God calls me, I just want to reach the cause at the end of my career, if I'm being called.
So tomorrow at 9:30 p.m. on GH1 TV, we'll speak with Joseph Pinso.
Okay, so that's a sneak peek into that exclusive interview that he granted our very own Monica Bukari. So tomorrow, what time?
9:30 p.m.
9:30 p.m. on our various social media platforms and on GH1 television as well, on Starr 103.5 FM. So stay tuned in. It's an interesting conversation. What? Football, ministry,
and then music.
Yeah.
Wow. The prophet.
Yes. I can't wait for that full interview. Thank you very much, Jones Aji, bringing us the very latest in the world of sports. And on that note, we bring today's edition of the Starr Midday News to an end, an extended version, of course, because of the latest ministerial nominees as announced by President John Dramani Mahama. 12 new nominations have been put out there. Haruna Idrisu is headed for the Ministry of Education. Ablaji Fagomashi is headed for the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Arts. We also do have Elizabeth Ijari headed for the Ministry of Trades and Agribusiness. Evans Kwame Agboja headed for the Ministry of Roads and Highways, and the Banda MP Ahmed Ibrahim is also headed for Local Government Ministry as well as the Chieftaincy Ministry. The list goes on and on. Amomolate headed for the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. Those are some of the names on the latest list announced by President John Dramani Mahama. You find more and the details of that statement on our various social media handles as well as on starfm.com.gh. My name is Dedei Tettey. Thank you so much for your company. Have a good afternoon.